Fnatic, of course, a team with a history of lower bracket runs. I think it was 2022 Summer, I want to say, where they played more games in playoffs than they did in an 18-game regular season.
I mean, even if they win here, it's almost a bang-on repeat of what happened in spring, right? Where they end up facing off against KC. They did end up losing 3-0 to KC in that split, but we'll have to see if maybe they can rewrite history, or if GIANTX can try and rewrite history here as we get into game number 2. Annie going to be the final ban, which means Orianna still very, very strong here. Wukong could also be another option if you want to try and focus jungle instead.
Orianna's the easy first pick here, really. It's the best lane dominant mid laner left, and I think that Jackie's had a good game in lane versus Poby in game 1. That wasn't the issue, given all that he said about, you know, playing against Poby in scrims is very, very difficult. On the other side, though, Kai'Sa Wukong immediately locked in. Fnatic going for an aggressive dive style. Yeah,
and I like seeing the Kai'Sa, right? Makes things a lot easier. If we were to see something like that with alongside the Nocturne, you understand what the team is going for. That immediate dive in, but a jungler with a lot of team fight power, not always the most impactful at the early stages of the game. See if Isma wants to try for another aggressive option. A lot of hovers, a lot of debating. I would love something spicy, but it's probably just the pig. It's the pig. Okay, all right. Yeah, it's fair, it's fair. It's pro, it's not solo queue. You got to be responsible.
So you got yourself that tank frontliner. Actually, Rob and I were just talking about this before. Typically, when you see the Kai'Sa, I know that Corki's got a lot of hate for various things. Corki's pretty good into Kai'Sa, so we might see that here. Has a good lane, can deal with the dive a little bit later. If you want to pick up that AD carry now, could potentially be an option.
On the flip side, I'm curious what Poby tries to go for, because maybe something like a Victor could work, but and you just try and play for the front and back with the Earth.
Braum. And gotta respect, Braum is one of those champions that, as far as support goes, scales insanely well. Unbreakable just continues to gain value the later and later into the game you go. And if they were to lock in something like that Syndra that they casually flick through, that would only make it even more true. So Fnatic perhaps just wanting to support their dive with more dive. But the Zoe maybe takes us in a different direction.
They have a couple of really difficult options to choose between here. Poby thinking about mid laners, doesn't want to get banned out in the next round, and it will be the Galio. Now, GX, they have a couple of important bans they need to consider. Do you take away Ambessa, because Ambessa Galio is really disgusting? Do you take away Nico, because Nico Kai'Sa can do quite well even against the Braum? You've got a couple of different angles you go towards, but you can't ban out every single role.
We can't. Lucian going to be taken away just to deny that easy.
Oh, Nico's already got that.
Instantaneous stun. I didn't even notice that, Alex. Good, honest self-reporting. Because you could have gotten away with that. It would have slipped.
No. I could have gotten away with it with you, but not chat. They're ruthless.
That's true. They're taking you down no matter what, brother. But I respect that you're fighting the good fight.
Yeah, I'm curious exactly what the bans here are going to be from GIANTX, because as you say, like, I think you could try and focus things like the Ambessa's Nymera, but like even with the Braum, there's still like so much engage. There's the Ambessa that you could try and remove just from the bottom side as well, because although Braum does do well in the lane into it, I think you're still going to be looking for something that like an Analyst that can still play to follow up on so much engage or disrupt these team fights from Fnatic. We'll have to see if they just continue with the top lane bans.
And for the side of Fnatic, what's your last ban? Could ban away something like the Sivir, I suppose, because there's a very strong front line, and then you got the Braum Sejuani trying to peel away from them. And Fnatic, I'm not sure they have 100% enough engage right now to close down long-range backlines. So the Sivir, that's an easy ban away.
Sivir, there it is. Scaling option, the movement speed just so good alongside things like the Sejuani and the Braum. Final ban now for the side of GX. The luxury of red side, and I can counterpick either way, but what matchup do you not want to see? Do you not want to play against? Full expectation is that it is Oscar's counterpick.
Yeah, and there's the Alistair that we were just kind of mentioning. I think it's just nice because you still want that kind of CC in the team fights regardless of the individual matchup. Varus, also a strong pick that GIANTX could look for here. I still think the range should help you out quite a bit against the all-in potential that Fnatic are looking for. Does well in the lane too, plus the ability to try and lock down some of these team fights where you're all very really close after the dive could be good.
It's it!
Why? This is so crazy! I mean, this champion is disgusting. Halo Blade's level 1. This is one of the most powerful level 1 champions in the game. But oh my god, if you mess up one time, if you get autoed by a Braum once, you are so dead.
And it's really good for the laning phase. Now, if you lock in Corki, your laning phase is a little bit more back and forth. So you need to really make sure you land the right hooks at the right time. And I gotta say, you go later into the game, you would wish you had someone who could go in a little bit deeper and actually, you know, stay alive. Pyke is not fantastic at that one. Fnatic, their last pick has to have something which enables this Galio a little bit more. Otherwise, you're locking yourself into quite a lot of early game victories and not much else.
All right, well, we have a pretty dominant topside option coming in here from Lot. Also played this in spring, if I remember correctly. So It did look really good in the 1v1, but I think the tech against Yorick has progressed a lot since we last saw this match between these two players.
Yeah, traditionally is Yorick that we've, sorry, the Cho'Gath that we've seen as an answer to Yorick, and that works relatively well because you can just feast, and maybe that's what you want to try and play for here as well, because you can just walk into them. You can still have that follow-up on the knock-up from the Wukong and have a tank that can try and take that space as well.
I'm really worried for Fnatic to be able to get clean engages. There is so much on Razork and Mikyx to find themselves into the backline when they have a Yorick, a Sejuani, and a Braum stood between you and the Orianna, who's potentially going to shockwave you out of the engage as well. Difficult to play comp for Fnatic if it gets late.
Definitely is. This can be really tricky. And I think, again, we're in a situation where GX have gone for a bit more of a conservative draft. And this is one of the things I really like about GX. It doesn't ever feel like they're like, let's go for this fringe option this split. They're always willing to just draft simple compositions. And Fnatic, certainly a powerful composition, but similar to last game, feels like it has some clear weaknesses.
Yeah, I think for a huge amount of this game is going to come down to Jun trying to mark Razork. If you can deny Razork access, I think you're less worried about Mikyx. I think he's just going to die. You already kind of said it, like he goes in. There's so much CC that can keep him in check. And if Razork's unable to start these fights, you're kind of fishing for like a rogue knock-up with a Cho'Gath, which seems hyper unlikely to land.
Might be a little bit tricky. All eyes again on the early game, and most of those eyes on the bottom side of the map. We got some Mikyx in the house. He's going to need that support on this Pyke. Kind of definition of a feast or famine. Sword of Champion is here we are. Game 2, GX looking to fire back, close out in this game 2 in a way that they couldn't quite muster game 1. And we're going to keep our eyes on this level 1 because Pyke does like 5,000 damage by himself. So if just anyone eats a hook and there's anyone else standing nearby, they probably die or at least lose a flash.
Of course, there's always the Braum level 1 as well. So actually, we could see that's the thing. We got both champions. We can just randomly throw your plans into the ether, really. It doesn't look like either team is stacking up to do that. Perhaps just paying attention to both teams' power at that early status.
Interesting to see that Lot went into the bottom lane to ward that brush, though, to try and help out with GIANTX's bot lane in these early levels against the Kai'Sa and the Pyke. Now going to move his way up towards that top side, just giving themselves full advantage to know whether that needs to be an issue as they enter into lane, or if they can try and play up for a ward in that second brush.
I think something that's going to be interesting to track is summoners on the bottom side of the map. We noted already Corki pretty strong into the Kai'Sa at the earlier stages, very powerful in the isolated 1v1. Jun also has Spellbook, and he has heal early on. Mikyx's full aggro. No Spellbook on a support for the first time, and it feels like, I don't know, years, I'm going to say, even though that's not true.
I'm going to go out of my way and say he's not going to build Redemption as well.
That's, you know, you're reading my mind. That's exactly what I was going to say. One of the problems with the Pyke as the game goes on is that you're not going to have Redemption, and also against this team, you're not going to, legit, you're reading my mind, you're also not going to have a Mikyx. Mikyx could be super important against something like the Sejuani ultimate later. A lot of supports would end up going towards that later because of that threat of GX engaging from the jungle. Can't believe you actually just read my mind like that. You thought it was a joke. No, it wasn't.
I mean, that item is strong. They've done the math. The math does indeed check out. Redemption incredibly powerful. But for now, just some level 1 trading. Hook doesn't quite land for Mikyx. So nothing to see here yet. Jungler starting top side, though, means an inevitable path to the bottom side as the Yorick and Cho'Gath just duke it out. And I imagine some potential 3v3s here.
But I think if it goes to a 3v3, I kind of like GIANTX's odds. You got Isma, strong front line, plenty of CC, same with Jun. For Fnatic, I think it's more about getting those quick, isolated picks where you get one member and get out. So if I'm Isma, I'm happy to just kind of keep tracks on Razork and try and go for some of these counter ganks.
And a lot of it's about the Poky line first. So these hooks, which we're seeing miss from Mikyx right now, they do weigh double. So if you had plans towards that bot side, you would have liked there to be a little less HP. When you go towards that 3v3. Jackie's got control over mid lane. Expect that early for Orianna versus pretty much anyone, really. So that's going to help GX if you fight long enough that the mid laners can get involved.
Yeah. Of course, Poby had the luxury of the Azir in the previous game. Jackie's was still able to find some pretty big advantages, forcing a flash out in the 1v1. See if he can keep that pace up here on an even more favorable matchup as the Orianna into the Galio. Wards in those brushes crucial, of course, against the Pyke, trying to deny that extra regen coming in from the passive. We keep going back to mid, so I keep expecting someone to die. But so far, it is just Poby holding on to dear life.
I mean, this is kind of the way the matchup goes until you back and get your Negatron. But Isma, spot on a ward now coming into bottom lane. Fnatic will have to back away.
Nice sidestep from Upset, or from Noah, excuse me, on the Void Seeker. Hook goes in from Mikyx. Razork on the way down, but Isma's here to cover. Again, Sejuani early on, base damage, the initial proc on that permafrost, it's a lot of burst.
GIANTX has got pushed too. If there is a fight, again, the Orianna will come here first.
And locked up for a second here. 3 stacks, looking for 4 on the concussive blows. Upset standing off to the side, bit of a fist fight. Noah getting lower and lower. Mickey going in, debating if he wants to flash. Gets the pullback onto Jun. May need to be forced to flash out himself as Razork starts to commit forward. Barrier pop by the side of Noah. Flash coming out from Razork.
Upset managing to pop the passive on towards Noah was pretty huge there. But he took a massive chunk of damage, had to pop the barrier and get out. And I think that's where GIANTX felt the pinch of loss in trying to find that 3v3, and Fnatic confident to take the space they needed.
Yeah, so a victory in summoner economy for Fnatic. Blew a lot from the bot lane of Noah and Jun, despite the fact that the hooks weren't landing very early on. Now you get yourself the push in, now you get Noah that early back, which he's going to lose a bit of CS to the tower as well. It's not bad for Fnatic. I mean, they would like lots more of this from the Pyke, of course. This is a good first step, though.
Taking the heal away definitely feels good when you get closer to that ultimate as well. No shenanigans to stop the execute from coming through. Good cancel from Jun. See if Fnatic can capitalize on the window of the summoner spells being down, because we saw something very similar in game 1, and despite very positive summoner trades, Fnatic didn't really convert it into anything.
So you're saying there's going to be a Nocturne ult to save the backdoor this game too? You know, similar to game 1?
Look, I'm ready. After game 1, I'm ready for anything. You can just put a sentence together you've never heard in your life, right? We can find it.
It's truly the expect the unexpected. But how am I supposed to expect that experience here?
Yeah. 100% is Poby. He's on Galio duty. Observers keep panning us here. I think they're Galio mains. They just want us to show us what it's like to suffer.
To be fair though, he's I just love him as a champion.
True.
Yeah. Like whatever at the kid, his entire persona is just fantastic.
Feels so good.
Yeah.
There's that one combo which is really, really nice, where you get them with the slam, you hit them with 2 other abilities, and your slam becomes immediately off of cooldown from the passive. You get like the double slam. It's really, really fun. If you
double slam, very nice. The backwards E,
yeah,
always good. As Mickey begins the true life of a Pyke, abandoning your 2v2 to roam for kills. We'll be forced to return shortly here. Unfortunately, is missing out on XP, so this isn't going to be your solo queue race to 6 sort of angle. Cheeky hook over the wall does not connect, and Noah and Jun still feeling relatively comfortable despite losing out on both of their support summoner spells.
Yeah, I think in the early stages, Fnatic just don't really have the windows that they want to try and play hyper-aggressive around this bottom side, even with some of the advantage they picked up as Mickey. So be careful, because you want level 6 on Poby, you want level 6 on Razork. Also, just Poby struggles in the early stages to match Jackie's on the push and the plays. And it's more on Isma, I think, to try and make this place happen. So the fact that Fnatic were able to force them back in that early skirmish is actually crucial to the success of Fnatic getting to this later portion of the game.
I think GX, in another game, maybe they'd lane swap away from the Pyke, but because they have the Yorick into the Cho'Gath, they're pretty happy to just say, look, if you can survive and get farm in that bot lane, even if you drop a little bit against the Pyke, we're okay, because the Yorick will get some value after that. Of course, right now it's even-ish. You know, the Cho'Gath does counter the Yorick early because you just chomp the maiden and just plays without an ult. Doesn't give him like a unique stack. It's basically the same as, say, getting a minion, but, you know, the Cho'Gath can hold it. But you want as much gold and experience in the Yorick as possible to get you to that 2 items where you really start to take over again.
It can't be that big threat. We've seen Law pilot it to pretty good efficiency, but Oscar doing a solid job of holding the line thus far. Again, it feels very similar pace to our game 1. No kills coming in quite yet. First Drake set up, but not taken.
I love how this entire bot lane is just like hard focus on if they land the Q, and the Qs have been landing, just not at the right moments, and then missing when you kind of hope they do.
Yeah, and I think the thing about this Pyke pick is it's important to know, it's not like Pyke is not like the solution to this game, to this composition. It's just nice in the 2v2 to have a champion that can kind of compensate for the fact that Kai'Sa just gets the crap poked out of her by Corki early on. And obviously you can just turn invisible anytime you get hit by the Braum Q, and then you wander off.
I will say though, you were incredibly slow with that when that Braum Q hit, so there's definitely some follow-up that can go through. Swap though from Fnatic to move up towards this top side. They don't actually get the dragon, even though they kind of brine it up a little bit. But the push should come through where they can try and fish for the Void Grubs, and Lot trying to steal it away now with Isma before they can get in.
Yeah. Isma pretty powerful. The wife's still standing, 6 HP. Holding on for dear life. Oh, Razork. 50 gold to Razork, but he'd really like a grubby. Wants to wander in, go for the smite seal. Good presence of mind from the side of GX to smite the one on the top side. Mikyx going to go for the hook, won't connect, and that's going to be all 3 grubs to the side of GX.
See that? Fnatic really don't want to dive into the Sejuani Braum when they're stuck together. Now Isma's on his own, a little bit easier, but Fnatic giving up all 3 of them to a Yorick. That's pretty nasty for Fnatic. They need to keep really close attention now when Lot gets access to towers.
And I'm surprised Fnatic didn't want to try and take it. Noah was coming out of base behind on the resets because Fnatic had first move. And you also had Poby come in with that level 6 hit in the mid lane. So I thought they would just try and full send it and then have the damage coming through, but not confident enough that Upset would be able to provide enough of that DPS, and with Nicky not being 6 either, whereas I don't know if Jun maybe hadn't quite ticked over, but still just afraid of the play.
Yeah, and again, Mickey roamed a few times. Is going to cost him that extra bit of experience, and Jun also caught that wave bottom side, so means he is faster to the 6, does make it that much harder to force these sort of team fights, and even though you picked this Pyke early on, you're still losing out in prio to this GX bot lane 2v2, and the only thing that occurred positive for Fnatic in that context, that trade, was I think Oscar got a wave in, got a plate for himself, so holding on to a gold lead, but I still don't think it makes you stronger in the side lane 1v1.
No, all it does is delay when the Yorick takes over. He hits 2 items you can't really play, might be a dive up here, Sejuani Braum, good CC, there is a cleanse on Upset if it hits him.
I think he has to be very careful here. If he burns the Phantom Undertow, it's so easy to pick this Pyke off.
Jackies was trying to mark Poby on the way up, but the second Jackies lost Poby as he ended up eating back in towards his own jungle, they just call off the dive. Isma wasn't sure that Jackies would be able to interrupt Poby from arriving with that shockwave.
Yeah, Galio, ever the Guardian, goes out into the fog of war. Turn up somewhere very, very quickly. But still doesn't change the fact that Upset Mickey, as you were saying, Trekos, they're losing prio. They're getting pushed in. They're not exactly getting the value which you want out of the Pyke. Dragon is being started from Fnatic up, and I'll take that fairly easily.
They are getting pushed in, but because of the resets and the timers, Upset still has a lead, right? They did end up getting the push on bottom side. They did rotate quicker to the top end. They got to push out that top wave, whereas Noah had to immediately show up at the Void groups. So at least in that respect, they are still finding success. Like you can see, the lanes are essentially even, and there's still about a 15 CS lead for Upset here.
Sitting pretty, sitting comfortable. Again, working towards that first item spike where I think things get at least a little bit better. Tough to fight the 2v2 straight up, but a lot of their damage potential on the side of this Fnatic bot lane. And Lot just doing top lane things up against Oscar. They're hitting things, they're going back and forth. And now a TP, because he doesn't want to just hit things and go back and forth. Although
well, no, he does. He just wants to go and hit things in a different lane. He's in fact maximizing his hitting.
His swings per minute are through the sky.
You're right. You know what? I take it back. Top lane is a thrilling role. Played by people with good taste.
Have you ever thought about casting golf? Do you think that would be? And he's chosen the 3 arms.
They sound hype when they cast golf. I mean, as much as they're allowed to. Obviously, I know they're not allowed to be loud. So they have
the
to
3 arms to hit this minion with. He's going for the putter, for the cannon.
It's very precise. No, you guys don't understand. There's like a 3-second window where if he hits this creep, the wave is in his favor.
Instead of the jungler, we have the Tiger Woods instead.
Yeah, true. I like that. Little.
I thought that was funny. You can laugh now if you want.
Look, I'm gonna get you the classic caster.
Thank you.
Oh, great. I appreciate it.
Oh,
but he wants to. The perfect point combo is hard to pull off, but he might still cost his life. He dies. It was flashy. It was a montage. That mechanic is very niche. But he had to die to do it, so I don't know if that was worth.
It is going to be farming time away from Noah, though, because he is the one that died.
It is, yeah. If Upset lives, it's farming time. Cleanse coming out, Razork on the way down. Upset getting run down, but Spidey senses are tingling. Razork on the way down. Maybe we get a replay. It's a cool Pyke thing.
Still, great escape from Upset. Burns the cleanse, doesn't have to burn the flash. Dodges away with the killer instinct from the Braum ult. So overall, nicely played by Upset, but yeah, as you say, a little unfortunate for Mickey in not quite having enough DPS to take him down.
He's talking to me about that specific mechanic for like 3 years. He's done it once before in pro. This is random Mickey friend fact. He finally did it again and he looked like he died.
He did kind of run it.
Yeah, I hope, yeah, he's gonna be embarrassed after that one. Goes for a more classic Q into the Phantom Undertow. Won't amount to much as Oscar locked up by the wall under the tower. Now he is a very beefy boy, and the threat of the ulti is going to keep him standing, but has to be careful.
Still a lot of members of GIANTX trying to position themselves on the bottom side. Isma maybe a little uncertain as to where Razork is, but he's actually on this top side and looking for the dive on towards Loss. Oh, he wasn't spotted by the plant.
Dash through, Lot caught out, nom nom nom! Quick snack.
So you see GIANTX, they actually knew that this was probably a case, but don't end up spotting him on the site forward. And now GIANTX.
Oscar trying to get out. Razork spinning through them. Oscar unafraid, but he's just going to get shockwave, and it might cost him his life. He's now forced to flash. I think he should have been happy just walking away. Oscar clearly wasn't. Ball reattached to Isma. Razork retreating. Poby on the way up to try and protect. He also attack. But he's going to walk away from this one. I cannot believe Fnatic all lived.
Yeah, me too, but I think the threat of that Poby Galio ult was what saved them there, because if Isma flashes forwards to look for a kill, maybe the shield comes down, he gets knocked up after, and he ends up dying too, but GX, they weren't expecting that dive on top lane quite at the time that you were saying because of the vision control which Rob was talking about.
They just used the Scryer's Bloom, and they were like, oh, there's no Razork, but he just managed to walk across it. Yeah. So it doesn't end up getting spotted and makes the play happen. So I think Isma thought, or sorry, Lot thought he was a lot safer than he was.
Haha.
The classic.
The classic.
We both have one now.
Yeah, there you go. I love when players' names are also a word that I use regularly. Shout out to Amazing, whatever happened to him. That was frustrating.
Tell you the best one we had for that recently. You know the new Corki skin, which currently Noah's playing? It's the giant chicken thing. We had Jackula play, so we had Chicken Jackie.
Chicken Jackie. Can't respect Chicken Jackie.
Even better when we had Chicken Jatchi as well in the same game. Well, great stuff.
I was going to think of another Lot pun, but he walked away, so it no longer feels appropriate. As Oscar and Lot continue to duke it out, and we see a little bit as to why this Cho'Gath is selected into the matchup. Still only a single item for Lot.
And I think particularly now you're 1,000 gold ahead, and Lot lost a wave to turret in that dive there too. This is where the Cho'Gath starts to extend the time where he is controlling the Yorick. The Yorick needs to really hit 2 items. He's not been hitting that on, well, he's not going to hit that anytime soon, now he's this far behind.
But that's the thing, right? Although it has been, you know, top side objectives going to GIANTX, Fnatic have actually done a better job of collecting the waves where they need to. It's a 20 CS lead for Upset. He's half a level above his opposition. You've got the lead for Oscarinin as well. So in this position, I think Fnatic are kind of happy to just play off of those leads as Noah.
Hook hits onto Noah. Noah trying to dash back. Redemption now coming in. That item is strong. Look at that. Even ignited. Still an extra little 200 HP.
Should give Dragon to Fnatic though, as they'd already kind of looked for that cross map. Potential dive on the top side though, and it's Poby, and he doesn't get the help.
No, he doesn't. He's the one with the global. If you attack the source of it, can't come to you. Herald used to essentially force him away from turret because it won't exactly be existing that much longer.
No, it won't. Isma mounting up though. Okay. Wants to charge. Nothing too fancy as GX happy to have that pressure point open up a bit more on the top side. Jackie's only getting more money under his belt, and shockwaves are going to get pretty scary pretty quickly. It is a very, very beefy front line, though, this time for Fnatic. They have gone in the exact opposite direction of the previous game. No front line to almost all front line. So let's see if the Blackfire Torch, perhaps a Leandries to follow.
Now, Razork caught up on the spot side here. Doesn't have flash, does have the Warrior Trickster.
Will spin out as Lot continues to chase, lands another Morning Mist. Wants to zone him off. Again, there's not really an objective to play for, but happy to just have the Scuttle Crab and a bit more bot side control.
Yeah, I don't think it'll net them anything in the long run, unless they want to hard commit onto this bottom side. You still don't have Poby being able to play. He's looking for the reset now to potentially cover if GIANTX want to look for a dive. But yeah, in the grand scheme of things, I think GIANTX just happy to make Razork a little bit less threatening for the next minute.
Although, unfortunately, we have now entered the period of the game where I don't think Pyke is useful. Now, you can delay this period of the game when you have enough money for Umbral Glaive, or you found a couple executes, but it's really hard for Mikyx to play because most of the people he hooks don't care. They're just, okay, sure, bro, 200 damage.
Yeah, normally it's, you know, Pyke after 20 minutes, 25 minutes, but this is a 3-kill game at 17 minutes. That's not really what you want from the Pyke. So on one side, we've had the Yorick not really have an opportune game. The other side, the Pyke has gotten some control, but realistically hasn't snowballed to the level which we normally want from a Pyke.
Yeah, I think the value from the Pyke, though, is more if you can get control of these side lanes. Like, it's the Mikyx potentially showing up on a side lane when you're in a 1v1 and providing that extra DPS and execution.
Submarine the Galio in as well.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So I think that's where you've got to be a little bit more nervous.
Oh, don't sell me on late game Pyke. Don't sell me.
I think with this specific comp, maybe there are windows he can make it work. But
and when we bring the nameplates in, Jackie's has been cleaning up his act, but when he was a little bit more criminal, he'd be dying a lot on them side lanes, and I just cleaned it up a bit because he did die twice in the previous game, so there is room to attack that Orianna on side. Fnatic can find those angles. Another hook going wide as Isma waiting in the darkness. Again, if they clip Mikyx, it's pretty easy to find that kill, but he has opted for Celestial opposition over the Blood Song, just to make that threat a little bit less, and Lot Solo knock down this tower.
Yeah, 3 grubs, Yorick with a Triforce, that's what you got to be afraid of. It's a full turret down, a little bit of a lapse there for Fnatic. Maybe they thought they were going to lose it anyway, but never great to give Yorick that goal. Flash forward.
Jun locked up. Phantom Undertow to follow. Knockup won't be there. Noah on the way in, but it might be a little bit too late. Flash forward, trying to execute Jun. They're going to get the reset coming in from Mikyx, but now they want to back up because Jackie's on the way and they have to move into the choke. Move in, the shockwave. The rest of the team trying to go. Mikyx still living for next second. He holds over the wall to try to escape, but Isma catches him on the way out. Poby still going forward. Noah with a blinking health bar, but he's managed to hold on now. It's Oscarinin versus Lot as it was on the top side, so it is in the fight. But he can't quite get in range to finish. It's not a problem for Upset, however, as he grabs another.
The fight for Fnatic was huge there. The fact that they're able to pick off so many different members. And although Mickey goes down, does end up getting some success and gets a much needed goal for himself as well.
Yeah, Fnatic really wanted a fight like that again, just to keep using this tail end of the Pyke power to get something in. It's initially a pick onto Jun, who's a little bit off. That Gatling gun in the replays, it does my head in, I tell you. But they managed to catch up the Braum fairly alone, and despite him being pretty hard to kill, they managed to get him down quickly. He does leave a parting gift of a Braum passive onto Razork, which makes things a little bit dicey for a second, but realistically, Upset starts to stack up the lethal tempo, and the carries of GX get chunked out a lot, but the damage is still in Fnatic's favor.
I'm surprised Mickey managed to get over that wall, to be honest. You have to hit someone with the ultimate to actually like teleport to them, but just clipping Isma on the edge but still position himself over the wall was actually kind of cool to get over.
How smug
So
is he
if you
gonna be
watch
about that?
the Chinese Super Server Pyke montages, you can, if you're insanely good, you can angle the X so you hit the edge of the X on one side of the wall and you can still go
That's
over
what I mean. Yeah, it was just cool
But
to
the
see.
problem is, it wouldn't have worked except the Sejuani flashed over. If he hadn't flashed, it would work.
He clicked her on the
No,
edge.
by the time it resolves, he's over the wall.
Okay.
You can, nothing.
Yeah.
Yeah, can we get a VAR of it?
Yeah, we need the VAR. Give me the.
They just did.
That's true. Oh no, we need to replay it again. Oh. Trying to be professional here and everything.
As many times as it takes. Talking about random Pyke mechanics. Unfortunately, for the side of GX, this whole debacle has resulted in Upset getting a second item ahead of what would be a third Drake for Fnatic, although GX not afraid to just walk forward here. They have so much chain CC.
Ignite dropped just to cycle back round to the heal. Jun not with flash right now. Dragon spawning GX in the river first. Oscar coming down very tanky and has flash. This Cho'Gath is going to be really hard to chunk through from GX.
Might be a little bit late though. Poby waiting off to the side. Jackie's does not feel too threatened yet. Again, Oscar may find an angle. Razork kicking the fight off. Lot isolated off to the side, but Razork already losing so much HP. In the meantime, Poby's finding the angle. The taunt, the ulti doesn't connect from Jackie's, and it's crucial because Upset for a brief moment is untouched. Lot trying to finish the job. Magic damage shield, not going to stop the Corki, not going to stop the Yorick. Knock up onto 2 from Oscar is clutch, and it's just what Fnatic needed. GX are decimated at the Dragon.
GIANTX thought they were able to take the fight, but Fnatic cut them down where they stand. The Dragon as well. It's everything for the black and orange.
Fnatic find their way onto the carries, and GX can't use, anything to put their backline at a point of safety. Jackie's gets tagged, and then Upset flies through. Now, Razork, I thought initially, is he going a little bit too early? Is he going a little bit too deep? But he gets the fight started, and Jackie's gets caught out. No longer is the Orianna allowed to stand at a safe distance and continue DPSing.
We found the solution. Meatballs. How many meatballs can you throw at them? And the problem in the previous game was this Otacon. Generously gift wrap for GX. We'll see if Fnatic make the same mistake twice, however. Mickey fishing again with the hook. Celestial opposition going to be broken. Oscar keeping the pressure up on the top side, but Razork's resistances are shredded.
Upset wasn't even there. It was a very risky one. And
They leashed it again.
They still want to keep going.
Yorick's coming up. He's not here just yet, but Fnatic, this might turn into a bit of a flip. I smell the burgers.
Noah, use the Valk. Pull back from Mickey good. Stand aside even better. Otacon picked up by the Cho'Gath. They managed to grab it. The shockwave only connects onto Oscar. Razork sees an opportunity to step forward, but well played by Fnatic, leveraging the Cho'Gath to secure the objective.
Oscar gets himself his 8th stack there. He's feeling pretty happy with himself. Has really been quietly getting bigger and bigger, and it's not going to stop here.
Good sidestep. That hook hitting was surely death. GX. The previous game, it was so easy for them at the Otacon. Free advantage given, but now it's Fnatic's sole point. Otacon taken, 4K in the lead.
But also, you're going to have to take this fight as essentially third item is completed across the board on towards Fnatic. They're already about half an item ahead across the board, and that's where it's really going to get difficult for GIANTX, because Nashor's Tooth will be complete on towards Upset. His poke is going to be incredibly strong, and you're going to have the third item coming through in the Cho'Gath as well, so just him taking that space is going to work so well for them. And in that last engagement, you can see Jun trying to tag Razork, trying to keep him out of that fight, but he just ends up going down himself, and you just aren't tanky enough as the Braum with this redemption build to try and be that sole frontline here.
And he's trying to be everywhere, and you kind of have to be in some ways, but if Kai'Sa then just jumps over your shield is not stopping the Kai'Sa damage, as we saw in that last fight as well, and Kai'Sa is very, very scary. So Fnatic on the verge of Infernal Soul. It is not like the Cloud Soul in the last game, where you can make an argument to say it's useful. Infernal Soul is much more than that. That's kind of game-winning territory with a game like this, especially with the Kai'Sa.
Especially with that Kai'Sa poke, yeah, as you highlighted. For Jun, obviously, usually the big playmaker for this GX lineup, a little bit harder on the Braum. It's Poby and Lot. I don't think Poby feels as good about this one, but he's going to adjust his punch, he's going to taunt, he's going to be stuck in that little box for a while, and it's going to force the TP out from Oscar. Uh-oh, Lot, Daddy's home. Want something to do with that. We'll just immediately walk away. Isma trying to find an engage at the same time. The map is entirely split. GX being a bit caught out here. Instant fog comes in from Upset, and down comes the Galio. But a bit out of range as Jun is forced to retreat. One kill coming through. Mikyx! Double! In the blink of an eye, they're gone! And now Fnatic, they smell blood in the water. They want a little bit more. 23 seconds till Baron. This objective belongs to Fnatic.
We would say that Pyke is just not a champion at this point in the game, but Mickey proves us wrong. Slick mechanics on the Pyke as Fnatic get control of the map now. Is that, the big objective in the Dragon Up? No, but the Baron is spawning in 10 seconds.
Man's about to be on both sides of the montage.
Yep.
Nicely done now, Fnatic, as you say, Chimera. Baron immediately taken, and a minute and 15 seconds until that Dragon Soul for themselves as well. As just such a good engagement from Fnatic.
It's such a sweet spot because they can reset and go into that setup. And Mickey, he pulls people back, means that, realistically, the Braum is pulled away from the person he wants to go towards. And look at the slide through. Oh, that's disgusting.
Okay. Gotta respect it. Some clean movement. Yeah, and now a 2,200 gold lead for the Pyke. He's got enough money for that Umbral Glaive.
That's the Pikes you see on ARAM, man. They're disgusting.
Yeah. Yeah, it's kind of free low on ARAM, though.
Yeah.
There's just 5 people standing.
What do you mean I earned that pentacle?
Yeah, don't let anyone tell you otherwise, Rob. You're right. I take it back. It's actually just you, bro. You're the go-to Pyke. Everyone else has a terrible game.
It, yeah.
Maybe Mickey can take some tips.
There you go. GX doing what they can to hold on to this area of control, but it is a disgusting lead for Fnatic, and their composition at this stage so easy to play. Again, Upset, that third completed item to just poke with these Ws. If they miss, though, that does still hurt. Pretty long cooldown as Mickey keeps stepping forward. Razork debating if he wants to go in. Sweeper over the wall, dashing forward, manages to find the knock onto 2. Upset immediately into the back line, and there's just no counterplay. Upset taking down Jackie. Lock getting cut down now as well. Mickey might not have even connected with the ult. He didn't have time. They died too quickly. This is an absolute slaughter.
These Cyclones from Razork have been destroying GX. As long as he gets 2 people in it, they just can't reform their battle lines and GX fall apart. They're now almost 10,000 gold behind. The Infernal Soul will go over a turret as well. The dominoes fall in favor of Fnatic.
And this is going to be so difficult for GIANTX. Game 1 was in your hands. Now game 2, a 10k gold lead for Fnatic. The Soul there taking over, and for a roster that showed such promise, that was looked at as potential underdogs that could upset everything for the top 4 in the LEC. Unfortunately, it just hasn't come together now for them in game 1 or game 2.
And given how important bot lane has been in this series as well, to see that number between the carries, Noah against his old team, Upset getting over a 4,500 gold individually, that one has got to sting for GX.
Oh, yeah, and you can see the damage to champions. The Kai'Sa poke hitting hard. The team fight damage, those plasma stacks proccing. Just difficult for Noah to find the space to maneuver. No flash either. 50 seconds left on this Baron. So Oscar solo pushes in that mid wave. And the difficulty is you can't really collapse on the Cho'Gath because it's just the Galio will be there. The Kai'Sa will be there. Hard thing to punish. The good news is Fnatic's composition is incredibly low range. Upset can't really step forward. So 2 waves of pressure do mean Fnatic will break 1 tower, but unlikely to break much else.
Still, I think you just keep this pressure up if you're Fnatic. Poby being able to threaten potential flank as you try and stand underneath this turret. But Fnatic will just back away, happy to take their prize. And It's not looking good for GIANTX. This is what it should look like when you got a 10k goal.
Yeah, you go back to this time last game, we're saying, well, you know, it should really be a victory lap for GX, and they couldn't quite close it out. This time for Fnatic, though, I think it is so much easier to just walk up with a front line with the Cho'Gath and the Infernal Soul.
Yeah,
and just
I mean,
deal
there's
the
not double scaling hyper carries on the opposite side, right? Like Corki and Orianna has pretty good scaling. It's just so reliant on you hitting that shockwave, and also it's a 13,000 gold lead. That's a much bigger number.
It's pretty heady.
All 4 Drakes on the way to the Soul. Like,
and they have 2 Seekers arm cards as well on both of Poby and Upset, which means that shockwave, it's like, who do you even target with this?
It's possible for GX, but it's hard. You can hear the Attack on Titan music playing in the background. It's not enough. There's no 3D maneuver gear there. Mikyx looking for the hook. Doesn't quite hit. As Poby solo pushing. GX going to try to collapse in the mid lane. Isma getting the fight kicked off. Poby locked up again.
Phase rush.
Making sure he's out to safety, and Fnatic are ready to just end the game. Well played by Poby just to walk away from that one. Good thought process from GX to collapse on the member with the global, but Fnatic just don't care.
GX have used so many of their tools now, and they're in disarray.
Hook on the Lot. Lot is going to get cut down. Ulti coming out from upset. Jund blocking the wrong way. That's not where he wants to be. Flash over the wall. Face first into Noah. Oh, God, he's Aura. It's just too much, Fnatic. Just delete him. Isma going to recall just in time to see the base crumble. Well, the game might have been quiet, but the mid to late has been dominant, and all in favor of Fnatic as they move on to match point.
A celebratory ground slam from Poby, and a well-earned one. After game 1, it looks like Fnatic woke up and chose violence.
Fnatic with 3 match points against GX now. GX backs against the wall. Even after that game 1, it has got to be galling for them.
Yeesh. Pressure on. It already was for both these teams heading into the day. And on the side of GX, incredibly difficult situation. You had game 1. Game 2, though.